Come here. Good boy. Good morning, folks. Good morning. How you doing there, 420? 420 Fred. 420 Fred. Come here. Damn dog. What are you doing? Lay down right there. Lay down right there, buddy. Well, well, well. Got the weekend review, folks. Hold on, give me 1 second. I gotta get these dogs in. I need one of you fine people to come in here and help me read this chat for me. Wow. Okay, hold on. Or all of you come up here. It don't matter to me. Come on, let's talk. Here comes the link for that. Good morning, Night Owl. Good morning, Miss Dory. All y'all need to come up here and help me with this chat reading. There's the beautiful Night Owl.
Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, ma'am. How you doing?
Hanging in there. We had my mom's funeral last night. Brought her ashes home.
No.
She's in her hutch with all her Christmas caroler dolls and my dog Princess who passed away and my dog Dobie.
Oh, how's your dad doing?
He's hanging in there. He got to see a lot of his Navy friends that came and all my mom's friends from teaching school all those years. All the teachers came and all my cousins, and it was a beautiful. She would have been proud of us, and I'm holding up and he's holding up, but we're, taking care of each other.
I was going to ask how you were doing. Now, this was pretty sudden, wasn't it, Night Owl?
Yeah, last Saturday morning. She had a heart attack.
In the bed?
No, she was on the couch. Heard her call me. Went in there and she said she thought her sugar was low. She said to get me. She said get me some juice and something to eat. So I got her some oranges and some juice and some cereal, and she ate. I woke my dad up and I said, "Daddy, Mommy doesn't feel good." And she said she wanted to go to the doctor, so I was getting her up to go, get ready. And as soon as she stood up, I helped her get up, and she slid like right in front of the couch. Hi, Mouse.
Hey, Mouse.
You're muted, Mousy Mouse.
Good morning. I was letting you finish, just not being rude.
Oh, thank you. So she said, call 911. I went and grabbed the phone. I called 911. I came back in the room and her eyes were going in back of her head. And the rescue came right away. They worked on her for like 40 minutes and brought her back and fixed her. They took her to the hospital. They put the stent in. Her heart was doing good, and then her kidneys failed. And she was gone the next day. They had to take her off the life support.
They got her going again at the hospital. You said she was doing good in the hospital for a little bit?
Yep. And then the kidneys failed.
What the fuck happened to me? I can't hear Night Owl now. Hold on. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can now.
So her kidneys failed from all the blood going through the kidneys after they fixed her heart. I guess because the kidneys went without blood.
Yeah.
That it made them fail, and they couldn't do anything. So she went peacefully, and that's really, we were all with her. And
right.
So they got her started at home. Then they got her to the hospital, and what happened after that? That fucking car.
They did surgery on her. They did the stent, and it was working good. And then I guess because her kidneys wasn't used to having that much blood flow, they couldn't handle it. And they said, you know, if you we had to take her off the life support. She wanted it off. I said, Mom, you want that pipe out your throat? And she nodded. And when she died, I said, Ma, go with the Archangel Michael, and he's gonna take you to see your parents and Jesus. And
Shit,
she
if somebody
she-
said that to me and I was still awake, I'd have had a heart attack right then for sure.
she lifted up her arm and went. She went. She lifted up her arm like the angel was grabbing her hand.
Mm.
And you know, she's not suffering. She battled breast cancer. She beat it, but it never she never was like quite
How old was she?
80.
80.
She had a good, beautiful life, you know.
Shit, if I can get to 63, I'd be fucking happy.
I hear ya. 80's a good age. 80's a good age,
Yeah.
you know. And
But it's weird once you get to a certain age about that. Here I go again. I was
yeah,
on this subject in my own head about mortality shit again. It came back again beginning of the week. Stayed in my fucking head. And I ain't afraid to die. I just don't want to embarrass myself if I do, you know. I don't want to be out there at the mall shopping for Christmas shit and it fall right out.
well,
Why? That at least you're around people and they can get you help quickly. I'm scared that it's going to be a moment that I'm alone.
But you're true to that. That's true too. I think everybody should have, if you're over 55, I think, you should have some kind of device in your room to let somebody know in other rooms. Like if something happened to Kathy in her room, I wouldn't know it until, I still wouldn't know it. I'm thinking she's sleeping.
oh, you'd know it because you'd hear her she'll be screaming, Buddy!
Sometimes in massive shit like that. Now my Aunt Millie, she got up out of bed with her husband, was walking to the bathroom. Bam, hit the floor, and that was it. He woke up the next morning, go to the bathroom, and she was laid out. I guess I don't know. I guess death is maybe quiet, maybe not. I don't know.
It's something that every single one of us is going to have to go through at some point, right? So,
Yeah, none of us are getting out of this alive, are we?
Right. It's a
Okay.
natural part, and I think that
Can you see us all in heaven? Hey, Night Owl from YouTube, how you doing?
hey, buddy.
We
Now-
better.
I
We
say,
bet
Mom-
y'all better acknowledge me in the promised land. I'll be mad.
The promised land. I can't promise you, Mouse.
I say, Mom, this is that crazy guy, Buddy, that you used to hear me listening to in the morning.
And I was looking like, y'all need to, if somebody can screen share that, something with me. It's these people that died, these, what are they?
The near-death experiences.
Yeah, pull one of them up. Y'all want to get into this for a minute here? I'm telling you now, I've had these things. I had it one time.
I wouldn't know where to find any.
It's on YouTube.
There's a guy that he goes on tour, and he talks to the people that have had that.
Oh, I could talk to all of them. I could talk to everybody
There
in
you
here
go.
about
Thank you.
it. Okay. I could tell you my stories. I couldn't tell them 10 years ago. I can tell them now.
Did you have a near-death experience ever?
Absolutely, I know I did. It was crazy.
Good morning, Ronnie Braun. Good morning, 710 is
Hey,
oil.
Daniel. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Daniel.
Happy
This-
Saturday morning.
I
There
don't
we
see
go.
the rest
Now we're
of the.
getting Saturday morning with the folks. They've already been out. They've been out. What? Oh, I know. I heard you. They're not. Yes. 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 Yes.
Hey, Shangy girl.
Oh my God.
Come on.
Hi, Katie K.
Hey, good morning, Night Owl, Mouse.
Good morning, KK.
Come on. Stop
Here,
it.
I'll try. I'll try it, Mouse. I'll find you one of these things. I'll get you the most watched one on YouTube. These things are crazy. Hang on to your seat. And there I was last night watching the video. What's it like when we die? I just took these dogs out. Let them in. I don't care.
I like
It's
that
not,
one.
no. Come here.
No, wait, that's a 30-minute
Get
one.
up,
That
lay
one's too
down, right?
long.
Lay down. Get up there and lay down. Because they've been out. She's done been on a damn condo tour.
Hey, you rock the condos? Dad, what do you want, baby? You want to stay outside, honey? Look at him.
When I die, I'm gonna come back as one of Katie K's dogs, so she can call me baby. She has such a nice voice.
Thanks, Night Owl.
Yeah, when she sleeps.
You're welcome, Katie K.
Bitch, I'm wide awake and I have a nice voice.
And when I come back as a dog, I want to come back as a Shih Tzu with a bow in my hair.
I'll be nice to Katie and I'll come back as a bird so she doesn't have to walk me.
Thanks, Mouse.
I want the pink bow in the hair. And the little pink collar with the diamonds on it.
You're like Peppy Diva.
Yes. Dave went to the funeral with us. And he was a good boy, and I held him in front of the casket. Well, not the casket, the ashes. And he let out a sigh. And then later on, he was standing near it, and he laid down on the floor, like to get a belly rub, like my mom used to give him belly rub.
Oh.
He knew. He definitely knew. And he's like kind of mush. He's sleeping on the bed. He knew what was going on. He saw everything happen. He saw them taking her out of the house and trying to
Here you go, Mouse. Here you go, Night Owl.
Okay.
It was yellow. The second one I looked up was red, but I didn't understand why a car was coming so fast. It was almost like they anticipated the light changing. We both hit each other at about 60 miles an hour. Immediately, I knew something was wrong with my body because I was slumped over to one side and I couldn't move. The closest thing I could say to a prayer was, God help me. Control is taken out of your hands in a moment like that.
Oh, yeah.
We spend so much of our time trying to control life. And in that moment, I knew it was over. What happened next, it was out of my control. I grew up in the country in East Texas, and I had a very free, wonderful childhood in the sense that I spent a lot of time in nature. My best friend and I would ride horses. We'd get up at 6 a.m. These were great times in the summer, and we would ride until it got too hot around noon. We'd swim in lakes. And so we lived this life that was very much grounded in nature. And that part of my life was fantastic. The painful part of childhood was my mom was mentally ill, and there was a lot of emotional abuse and some physical abuse. And so I was isolated as this only child. I kind of retreated into books and into studies, and I saw college as my way out. That was my success route. There weren't any other routes. Like, that was it. So I wrote all these essays, and I got $20,000 worth of scholarships, just, won one essay competition after another. This was a big deal. And our mailbox, I grew up very poor, was like falling over practically. The house was in shambles. And I was like, God, is the mailbox even going to be dependable to get these checks? And so, I'd wait by the mailbox. These checks started arriving. And then I knew that somehow my life was going to change. And there was a lot that depended on and weighed on going to college. It meant a lot to me. I went to the University of Texas, and it's kind of a party school. So at first, my grades were really great, and then they started declining. And my senior year, I was depressed. I'd been through a bad breakup. I knew that my drinking and drug use was kind of off the charts in some ways, that it was really bad. I was like, I have to get my life together. And I was actually sort of having these panic attacks about mortality because I was agnostic at that time. I really did not think there was an afterlife. I studied English, so obviously I studied Walt Whitman and some spiritual writers, and I thought about what they said. And that was the closest I could get to spirituality. I thought, well, maybe I'll just blend with the grass, or maybe we continue on in some metaphysical way. But for the most part, I thought my identity, that Trisha, my consciousness, would not continue. And I would have these moments where I would think, oh, we just die. And then I'm going to not be here anymore. And this is all I have. And what am I doing with my life? And I'd really panic. And I went to see a therapist. Emotionally, I was still kind of dealing with some of the abuse in childhood. And this therapist suggested that I run, because that was something I loved in high school. I ran cross country. And so running was my symbol of, if I ran hard enough, if I ran fast enough, maybe I could outrun my demons, and maybe I could be super healthy and super strong. So I was running 9-10 miles a day, training for the Austin 10K. The night before I ran that race, I started having these nightmares, which I don't talk about too often because it seems like time is already out of sync, but I felt something coming for me. So I was really tired, and I skipped coffee, and I always need coffee. And as I blew through the first light, it was yellow. The second one I looked up was red, but I didn't understand why a car was coming so fast. It was almost like they anticipated the light changing and knew that it would change. And we both hit each other at about 60 miles an hour. Immediately, I knew something was wrong with my body because I was slumped over to one side, and I couldn't reach my driver's license and insurance forms, and I couldn't move, basically. And I knew something was terribly, terribly wrong. Eventually, a Good Samaritan stopped, and she was a nurse. She stayed with me, held my hand, and she was beautiful. I'll never forget the kindness of her. She helped me until the ambulance arrived, and they put me on a board. The closest thing I could say to a prayer was, God help me. That moment, control is taken out of your hands in a moment like that. And we spend so much of our time trying to control life. And in that moment, I knew it was over. Everything depended on the surgeons. What happened next? It was out of my control for the most part. All I had was my voice as the one thing that might be able to help me along this way. I never thought about having health insurance. I was a college student who just thought, I'll get a good job out of college. I'm young, I'm healthy. That won't be a factor. So they took me to a downtown hospital. Because I had internal injuries, they did lots of CAT scans. They knew that my back was broken several places. I was in shock. I'd never known anyone to recover from back surgery. I didn't know if I'd walk. I was trying to get specifics from nurses. I was trying to get pain meds too, because it was painful. They refused. So they said, until a neurosurgeon signs off on this and says, we're taking you in with the risk, we cannot give you painkillers. So I was strapped down to a board for 17 hours before I went into surgery. So family members were coming and going. I was really kind of a mess, psychologically, screaming at people at different times, crying. Then eventually the self-pity really took over. A nurse said that a neurosurgeon was coming in to talk to me, and she came in, and I looked at her and I said, I'm going to kill myself if I can't walk. So I need you to operate on me. And she said, okay, I will, but I've been on duty for 40 hours. So I have to go home and I have to take a nap and I must eat something. And then I'm coming right back here and I'm operating on you. And there was such relief because someone had passed. I'd overheard the conversation. There was a neurosurgeon who didn't want to come in because I didn't have health insurance. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm being thrown away. I'm trying so hard. And here I'm just nothing. I'm just, a body on this stretcher. All of that was the physical world. So my brain was totally in that moment of the physical. I was worried about classes. I was worried about walking. Really wasn't worried about death. Even when they wheeled me in and it said 17% chance of death, I didn't even stop to ask. I thought, well, that's a kind of a high chance, but I'll go with it because I want to walk. And so they wheeled me in, and Dr. Flan was the doctor's name. And she squeezed my hand, and that's the last thing I remember until I popped out of my body. The minute I popped out, I was kind of in the corner of the room looking down at the surgeons and looking down at my body. And when you're outside of body, you don't see with normal eyes. You kind of see with this 360-degree vision, and you can zoom in on something, or you can see behind you, but it's not that important. You're mainly looking at what you're looking at. But I remember the tops of the surgeons' heads, and I remember their hands, and I remember that there was a song on the radio. There was actually an Elvis song on the radio. It was the easy listening station. And so I was like, oh, I know this station. And so there was, a lot of awareness of the room itself and of the surgeons. And then I thought, oh, I'm alive. I live beyond this body. And I was so excited. I wanted to tell my agnostic friends in that moment. I was like, oh, I could explain this to them. They will understand. Consciousness definitely goes on. It was a much longer time period that it took to actually communicate with them. But I thought that moment was profound enough. Just looking at my body, looking at the surgeons, I was happy. I mean, there is no word that describes that happiness. It was relief and absolute peace that we go on. I was convinced in that first moment because my consciousness felt at ease. Like, I always feel a little bit nervous in the body, and I think most people do, probably to some degree. There's some pain somewhere, or some anxiety, or something is going on. In that space, nothing. There was no pain. There was just peace. And my intelligence seemed greater outside of the body. And I even thought about that because these neurosurgeons had to be brilliant. Dr. Flan had her assistant and he was beside her. And I remember looking at them, and then these light beings were behind them that were about 9 feet tall. I call them light beings. I called them angels in my book, angels in the OR, because that makes sense to more people. But all I knew was that they were intelligent. They could communicate telepathically, and they were there to send healing through the neurosurgeons and into my body. And they assured me I'd walk, that I would run again even, and that everything would be fine. And then they almost said playfully, watch this. And when they said, watch this, they just shot all this energy and light through the neurosurgeons, and it lit up my entire spine. And I remember thinking, that's fantastic. I mean, the neurosurgeons have to know angels work through them. I'm going to ask them about this later. This is amazing. They're so intelligent. They have to know that there's even a higher intelligence working with them. And, that moment stood out in my mind, but then the monitor flatlined. And in that moment, I thought, oh, I'm technically dead. And I don't really want to watch. Do they have to flip me over? What are they going to do? How are they going to revive me? Years later, I found that I had internal bleeding and I was bleeding to death. And they started cauterizing veins and trying to stop the bleeding and giving me blood transfusions. And that's what brought me back. But I left. And when you're in spirit form, you can just move through walls. So I moved through the first wall and then a couple more walls. And I was watching my stepdad get a candy bar out of the machine. And this was my verifiable detail. To me, it didn't mean anything other than I thought he was a health nut. So the candy bar was funny to me. I was like, oh, he has a secret sugar addiction. I know it. And so I chuckled and kind of moved into this space above Austin, which was the night sky. And I floated there for a while and the freedom felt great. I wasn't afraid. I just felt free and happy. Even though I was told I'd return to the body, I thought, well, I'm pretty far away now. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm going to stay here. And if I stayed here, would this be okay?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is intermission time. If you'd like to go get a cup of coffee. But if any of y'all has experienced this near-death experience in chat or lurkers, come up and tell us your story. I got one. True story. But right now, we're going to go ahead and talk a minute here, Mouse. Let everybody get regrouped.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't it? Stephanie Berry, hi, honey. Thank you very much. Stephanie Berry, let's roll out the fun. Thank you very much, Steph.
We got Stephanie, Kiki, Chief, Shangy, Daniel, Ronnie, 710 Oil. Did you read Stephanie's comment, buddy? What happened, Stephanie?
No, I didn't.
She said she's going to just lurk. She's not doing so well since her split with Luigi last week. She doesn't need sympathy. It is what it is.
Right.
Wow, Stephanie. Sending you love and light and prayers.
You're getting stronger every day, Steph. Yes, you are, honey. Whew. She's always been a sweetheart over here. Really.
She is. She's a sweet, sweet lady. We love Stephanie. When my mom died,
Yeah.
I told her to go with the Archangel Michael, and he'll take her to her mommy and her daddy and her sister and everybody and her poppy. And when I said some prayers, I said an Our Father and a Hail Mary and a Hail Holy Queen, because that was my mom's favorite prayer. And she reached up her hand up to the sky like the angel took her. And so then when I went home, I looked up Saint Michael, the Archangel. It was his day. It was the day of Michael the Archangel. They call it Michaelmas. And old English. In English, it's like it's like Christmas, but for Saint Michael, right?
Right.
And it was his day. That day she died. And I told the priest last night, and I told him what happened, and he said, "Oh, she definitely went. She went right to heaven."
Thanks, Stephanie. I really do appreciate that.
And it really, really made me feel better to have it validated. You know, that she really did go to heaven, and that was a miracle right there to me.
Mouse gets a bonus.
And I looked up what Michael the Archangel does. He leads the people that died to heaven. That's what he does.
Yeah. Let me ask you, buddy. This far in the story, because you have been in that situation, does it trigger an anxiety to hear someone else talk about it?
No, it validates.
Does it validate it? Okay. All right.
Is that what you experienced? Something similar?
that I'm not alone in this, folks.
Can you tell us about your story?
Yeah, in just a minute. I promise I will.
All right.
I promise.
We love you too, Stephanie. We love Kiki and we
But
love Mouse.
she explains it in a way that, I mean, she went all the way into the sky. That's interesting. That
That's
part of
where mine started right there, guys.
yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, buddy.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
but that was a little one in that accident. I don't even was gone for maybe a second or two. That's when it happened. But the first time I did it, well, I was out of here, folks. I was gone. I was sick with pneumonia on Eglin Air Force Base in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I was married at the time, and I remember I had a high fever when I went to bed, but I just didn't want to go to the doctor. Fuck that. I knew I was sick as hell, and I said I'll deal with it in the morning. And I fell asleep. Next thing I know, I was like the lady said, "You're up." I was up above the bed. We had a canopy over top of the bed, a mirrored canopy, because I'm a freak like that. This kid. But I was up there looking, and I could see her sleeping. She was sound asleep, and then everything got black, and then the negotiation started.
Yeah.
I negotiated myself. I don't know who was listening. I can't tell you who was listening to me. But when she said it was the overwhelming sense of peace, like you could never believe on this planet. I know because people listening to me are still of earthly spirit and shit, but you can't grasp that until you go through it.
Right.
That feeling of just, I mean, it, here I am right now. It's a loss of words for that kind of
It's the hardest part they can explain. That's the hardest to explain.
That is you're probably exactly right. And I've never heard nobody say that, but I'm telling you now, that is the most hard, the overwhelming sense of being loved, that everything is fine. And, it's just, I don't, we got to leave that for the experts, folks, because I ain't an expert on why that is. We can't explain it. But I was there, and I knew that where I was, but I didn't see friends, relatives, or nothing like that. But there was I heard a voice saying something, but I couldn't see who it was. It was just like in my head. It was talking to me like it was like, I don't know how to describe that part either, but it was weird.
Like he was talking to you, like through your mind,
Yeah.
telepathic.
And I was like,
Yeah.
well, my son was just born. I can't leave him now. I can't leave him. I can't do that. And we went for a while like that, and I said, and I remember saying, who am I talking to? Is this Jesus? And it was weird because I lived a life of craziness back then when this happened to me. So I was just, but I negotiated with whoever it was, saying that I will be a better person and all this stuff. And I was almost begging because I wasn't ready to go there then. I was still young. I was in my 20s.
Wow, buddy.
And I kept pushing it, and my son, and everything got quiet. I was still somewhere, and then all of a sudden, I was back inside of me. I felt myself go back inside of me.
Like
And
being pulled back.
What's that?
I said, like they say, being pulled back in.
Yes. And I went, whoa. And I could, I was back with all these feelings of frustration and this and that. Every emotion that you can go through. I mean, I had it again, and it wasn't like where I was. I knew that.
Right.
It was like, oh my God. It was like you're heavy. You're heavy with just the earthly ways of feelings and
Right.
frustrations and everything. It's just like heaviness. And I still feel like that today from the heaviness. After going there and coming back, it's a whole different ballgame. And I was laying there for a while and trying to think about what just happened. And I reached over and I was going to wake her up to tell her. I was going to push on her. And as soon as I got my arm up, a voice inside my head, he said, I wouldn't do that. She wouldn't understand. So I never said a word about this for 20 friggin' years.
Wow.
Then they started coming out with these talk shows and stuff where people get on there and talk about this. And I remember watching one of them. I go, damn, there it is. That's what happened. Because I didn't want to sound like I was some fruitcake trying to tell a story that nobody would understand.
Right.
But it was craziness. But I know that there's some place, and I know Mouse would probably like to hit me upside the head. But if you know that, why don't you say that? I don't know, because we're earthly. That's the best way to describe
Well,
it.
plus you didn't really go to the place. You went up. But
I was
you
in
didn't,
purgatory or
think you
something.
actually did you make it there? Like,
No, I didn't break through the clouds, but I knew that was beyond me.
right.
That I could. I mean, I felt like I could if I'd have just surrendered myself and just said, all right, let's float. But I've always had this sense of afraid of being out left in space and the stars and shit like that. But
Yeah.
now I didn't have that fear.
Right.
And it was just all different. But when you talk to people that haven't experienced this, of this earth, and haven't went through another dimension of what it is, then people on earth really will never grab the magnitude of that. And there's
I
no word,
believe you. I believe you.
no words to express the feeling, the joy, the overwhelming sense of somebody loving you, and it was like just billions of soft hands on your skin just telling you it's okay. I remember that. And it's, I can't fluff it. I can't make it into what bigger than what it is because it was so big I can barely explain it at all.
It's so far past our earthly knowledge,
That's it. That's
past our
exactly right.
understanding.
You can sit here and imagine, but in 1 second, you'll say, after you thought about that, this is just the earthly side of it. And you go on with your everyday life. But if somebody came up here right now that has experienced this type of stuff, we could talk for hours. And I could understand them. I know they'd understand me. But why did that happen? And then here's the thing. I was still a shithead after being granted this extra time here on this planet. I still didn't change much of myself at all. And you see what's on that screen right there? That was a reminder to me. You remember our talk? That's what that was.
Yeah.
That was a reminder to me, hey, look, I'm in control of this. Now, we had an agreement. I go out there and do it. And that's what I felt like after that had happened. As soon as I hit the back of that, I don't know where I went for a second, but I was somewhere different, but it was only for a few seconds. And I heard that in my head. Remember that?
Yeah.
Talk last time or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I got a little bit better at things. I made amends to people I was mad at. Didn't mean, and I'm doing it right. I guess I am. But anyway, there's my out of this world experience.
That's a beautiful story, buddy.
So I know most of you don't, and it's for real.
I
Don't
believe
think I'm
you.
bullshitting you.
Have you ever had an experience like that, Mouse?
No, I have not. I've dreamed it.
Right.
I've experienced it while in a dream. I dream I died, and then I dream, I went from there, but never from actual physical,
Right,
being
right.
injured or something like that. No.
All right, let's see what she said. But when she said she was up above in the hospital in the corner of it, looking down, seeing people, you see it so clearly. And the 360 vision that she had, I could see what was behind me, but there was nothing that was interesting me behind.
What
Right.
I think is gonna happen is she saw the stepdad get in the candy bar. When she comes back, she's gonna verify that with him.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna say, I saw you get in a candy bar. Did that really happen? And I bet he's gonna say, yeah, and that's gonna be her. Wow, that was real.
ace in the
That
hole.
wasn't a dream.
I think the interesting part of her story really is what jumps out at me. I know she's going to go back and connect the candy bar. That's true. But the way hers goes all the way to she was literally floating over the city.
Yeah.
That's an interesting part.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get back to it. Everybody's got their coffee. Let's see what she has to say now. And maybe she can collaborate a little bit with what I've said.
And it was totally fine if I stayed there, to me, because outside of body, I felt as if I was supported by greater consciousness. Like the brain, Dr. Eben Alexander and others say the brain is a limiter of consciousness, that it limits what we experience and what we see. And outside of body, we see more. And so I just knew in those first few moments that, that this experience does not compare to being in the body. One of my other initial thoughts was, this is theater. So all that we're doing is we're acting and we're learning things and we're putting on these bodies, these costumes. It didn't feel real. Like that felt like the reality, kind of like Oz behind the curtain, or it was like, now I understand. We just come here. And a lot of people talk about reincarnation. That makes total sense to me now. At that time, I didn't really think about it. I just was looking at the specifics of that life and realizing, this life that we go on. I also felt the energy of everyone I'd ever known and wanted to tell everyone basically, I love you, be better, be happy, enjoy your life. I mean, that's the message of the soul, is not anything negative. It's just, hey, go love your life. And the Hubble telescope images, there's a couple of them that I swear are very similar to what I saw. So the pink expanse of stars, light, I was floating somewhere I didn't recognize, but I knew I was in the stars. I also felt this greater intelligence coming toward me in the form of light. And almost like the telepathy from the angel's eyes, it came towards me and told me different messages, like love is all that matters. It's all that you take with you when you leave this place. Be like a little child. Remind them to go to nature. All of these seem like crystallized, simple messages, but there were about 5 or 6 messages like that. And they just were implanted deep within me. And I knew I would never forget them, that was just meant to be something I took back. Then I was shown a portion of my life, and I saw some of childhood where I played in nature, moments where I had faith, and these moments were good. Like the light seemed to say, hey, your faith was beautiful. Your love for animals was beautiful. Just remember the good and the good parts of life. And the things that were not good melted away, almost like, how shadow just falls away. It was almost like, well, that's not what I'm taking with me. Almost as if that message, love is all that we take with us. We don't hold on to the negative in this place of light. I saw the life review, some places where I could be better. And I was a little bit cliquish and judgmental. I was proud of myself for getting into UT, and I kind of looked down on people who didn't go to college. So at different jobs where I worked, I looked at people who work full-time as wait staff, and I wasn't rude to them, but I didn't give them room to get to know me. And I saw how kind they were, and I saw that they went home, this one couple, and they prayed about me. And I almost want to cry when I think about it, because they saw that I was this depressed person and they cared. And I didn't even give them the time of day because I didn't like what they wore. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. So in that moment, I thought I can do better. I can be a better person, that I'm not leaving room for the beauty of who people are. That was the main focus of how I was going to change, as if Creator Source wanted me to look at the beauty in people and their heart. It's almost like our soul knows how to be, but we forget in our culture, and we forget based on trying to feel special or trying to feel good about ourselves. As I finished that life review, I ended up in this place. It was full of greenery and beautiful grass. There was no death. Some people might call it heaven. To me, it looked like a consciousness that I was participating with, that my grandfather appeared and he wanted to recreate something from my childhood because he knew I liked riding the back of his pickup truck. My grandfather, he looked different. He looked young and handsome, and he glowed almost like the angels with this light. There was no death in him. I had seen him die. I was the last person he saw, and he had leukemia and was in his 70s and did not look the way he looked there. He was the only person who had a connection to me, who had passed. And so we spent time together. And then at some point he said, "Do you want to continue on?" And even though I was in the back of this pickup truck driving very slowly through this beautiful green grass, I looked up and I knew what he meant, that there was more to this experience and that God was on the other side of this. So I just shot out of the pickup truck, and I was this soul just flying towards God. I just felt great. I felt like every bit of insecurity floated away. I just felt so loved. I felt like this is the greatest place I've ever experienced. Why does anyone ever leave it? I want to get closer to this God source, this vibration, this unconditional love. I just felt safe and held in love. Then at some point, there was this energy wall that kind of stopped me, and I couldn't go any farther. And it vibrated through me and said, "Look down." And I looked down, and there was this river, and there were many people who were walking on it. Some were covered in shadows, some had light. And I saw that if they had light, they were connected to God. From that place, it just looked like fear or love, that there was only a choice between fear or love. And I thought, oh, that's simple. I just go back and tell some people not to fear things, and to love more. And I was like, okay, I can do that. But God was like, no, you're going to be a teacher and you're going to do that. And I was like, well, I can't do that because that's not what I want to do. I want to make money. I grew up extremely poor. And so I had planned to go to law school at UT, and UT has a great law school. And I had friends who were in the law school, and I thought I'd travel, see Europe, do some fun things. And then eventually I'd already taken the LSAT and I'd, prepared for law school. And I thought, just given my skill set with writing, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can be a lawyer. And the idea of teaching or nursing, those were like traditional careers for women. And I considered myself somewhat of a feminist. So I was like, I don't want to do something traditional and low paying. No, thank you. This is not for me. And so God was like, no, you're really going to be a teacher. And that was it. That's the last thing I heard in the presence of God. I joke that, I wanted to argue more, and there were thoughts that I was having, but it was as if God made me into this ball of energy, and I was thrown back through darkness towards my body and ended up in the room where they give you ice chips and ask you to tell your name. And I still was holding on to that experience. My first thoughts, even coming out of anesthesia, where I just had one of those things they call near-death experiences because I'd read about it. And I was like, okay, I had one of those. And then my energy didn't feel fully in my body. I felt like I was a part of the room, and the nurse was asking me what my name was. And I literally didn't feel like me yet. I said, well, her name is Trisha. And she said, no, your name. And I was like, oh, my name. And then I felt a little sad, actually, to come back to the specificness of being me, because I don't know how to describe it, but you're one with everything, but you're also an individual in that space. And so to come back to the body holds trauma, the body holds memory, the body will die here, but in that space, you're eternal and you're free, and it's so beautiful. And so there was already a dislike of being in the body. I felt like I'd been in this beautiful, light-filled, expansive place, and it felt very limiting to come into the body. It felt as if I was being forced back into the body, that it wasn't a choice, because if I had my way, I would have stayed there. And so this was definitely not my choice. I was sent back and told I had a particular mission. And I'm happy for the mission now, but in that moment, I was not happy. I was in ICU and hooked up to machines for 3 days. As soon as I could move my arms and talk, my grandmother brought me a journal, and I wrote down everything that I remembered about the angels, because I was afraid I was getting morphine in the ER, and I was afraid this medicine might make the NDE go away. And I was like, I have to remember this. And so I jotted down descriptions of the angels, about how they were not like paintings I'd seen, that they were light beings, and they were so much larger and so much more intense, and tried to hang on to as much as I could. I was asking nurses, I'd grab their arms, do you believe in God? And they're like, yes, I believe in God. I go to church. I'm like, God is this big ball of light. And then they're like, okay, we've heard enough from you today. So I know people were having these reactions that were like, all right, you can stop talking now. And even my surgeon, I did ask her, I said, how long did I die? And she said, you died for about 2.5 minutes, and this is really early on, but you got several blood transfusions. You're going to be okay. And I wanted to ask her more about what I saw, and I could just see, and I could read energy. And that was not something I'd seen before. I couldn't necessarily read people's body language and imagery, but I saw her step back, and I saw her have this thought, do not keep talking about this. I do not want to have to deal with this. So I knew that she thought I was crazy if I kept talking about it. So I was like, darn, I don't get to ask her. And that disappointed me, because I very much wanted to ask her if she knew that she was assisted by angels. But I was different from the beginning. I started seeing people differently, and I started seeing manipulation and insecurity and all kind of things in my family around me. And I wanted to help them, honestly. Like there were these moments I reached out to my mom and tried to tell her about my experience. And the only person in my family who was receptive was my grandmother. And she said to my mom at one point, let her talk. It's okay. This is interesting. This is her experience. She was tolerant. And my mother rolled her eyes and said, how could she possibly know anything about God? And I remember, this is going to be harder to break through to her than I realized. And I kept trying, and there was a moment where we were finally alone, and I was like, Mom, I died. And her first question was, did you see Jesus? And I said, well, no. And I could see her tense up, that wasn't a good answer. And I said, but what I experienced was amazing. It's changed me. I do believe in God now. So this is a positive. Can we start there? I know that we go on. And I wanted to communicate to her that she was just as loved as I am. I said, look, you're wrong and I'm wrong, but we're both loved. Isn't that great? And I could see in her face that she was going, I'm not wrong. You're wrong. And so I was like, this isn't meant to be a fight. This is meant to be good news, that we're so much more loved than we can imagine. So slowly I started shutting down and realizing I couldn't just tell everyone this experience. A lot of NDErs have to be thrown right back into life. And I was lucky in that I had a long recovery, 9 months. So I was in a body cast, and I stayed at my mom and stepdad's house, and they would get me books from the library. So I was reading Carlos Castaneda, Marianne Williamson, Deepak Chopra, I was just delving into spiritual material. And I was very much in touch with the physical process of healing. It was amazing how 9 days in a hospital bed, I was in the best shape of my life, running 9 miles a day. about to run this race. I couldn't even stand on my toes after that, that the body was just so weak that every part of me felt like I was on fire. My whole spine felt like there was a poker that was just in it. And yet it got easier, week by week, there was improvement. Eventually I could walk, and it was the heat of summer. So I had to do this really early in the morning or really late at night. And early morning, there were lots of elderly people out who saw this odd girl with a body cast on, and they started asking me about my experience, and I got to know the neighbors, and they were open. So I found that people who were dying or had a cancer scare, that they loved my story, and they were my biggest fans on the street. And when I finally walked to the end of the street, they drank their coffee and clapped for me. They're like, "You did it." And it was like I had this cheerleader group of older folks in my parents' neighborhood. So life was magical, even though it was painful. And there were lots of discoveries. I learned how to lucid dream, and I participated with consciousness outside of my body. I was really in a beautiful state of kind of quicker integration because I had those 9 months to read and meditate and think. I was somewhat closed off before my near-death experience. The only way I opened up is if I had a few drinks or was hanging out with friends, listening to music. I didn't really offer a lot of myself. I wasn't this boundaryless, full of love person. In some ways, I kept myself a lot safer because I distrusted people. I had a lot of barriers. I guess because of my childhood, I kept strong boundaries with people. But after my near-death experience, I loved everyone. Like, I walked down the street, I was concerned about everyone. I just saw the light in every single human being. I was overflowing with love. I had this telepathy where I understood what people were thinking and feeling. I loved animals. I mean, I was so happy that first year. I can't even describe it. Like the happiness and the freedom of being able to walk, of being able to explore this world, and knowing that there is energy that comes from trees, that everything is conscious, that everything is beautiful. That just wasn't in my awareness. The only thing that was in my awareness before was me, just my thoughts, my head. And a lot of those thoughts weren't very good thoughts. And so that was another thing that I realized, all those negative thoughts that I had brought me down, and I didn't necessarily have to think them. And that became a lifelong process of working with my own thinking and realizing what thoughts are my own, what thoughts are not, and how to live a happier life. I also went right back to school and got my teaching certification. So I went ahead and graduated and went and taught immediately. And the minute I was in the classroom, it was magical. Like, I thought, what do I do? What am I going to tell these students? So I just told them the truth. I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I know you don't want to be here. I don't either. I was like, but I was told to come here, and here's my story. And they were, like mouths open, eyes wide. And they were like, I have a question, and there was just a lot of communication and a lot of connection from the beginning. I find that people love these stories. It makes them think about what comes next, or the magical elements of life, or it puts them in touch with their own soul journey. I watched how different students wanted to become psychologists, or they told me their goals because they trusted me on some level. And I was they were my first students, and this was the first class. And there was so much magic, so much hilarity, so much silliness. It was truly fun, but also life-changing. It's so easy on the other side. There's just love and there's just fear. But over here, sometimes people attack you because of fear. Sometimes people are manipulative because of fear, that they don't have enough or they need something from you. And it is devastating, to people. But that fear, I see really as just a block to the light of God. So that can be depression, that can be anything that blocks you from God. And I think nature is a way for many people to heal. I think that's a way that many people could overcome a lot of things is isolation, time in nature, thinking about your life, rethinking what you want to do, how you want to do it differently, and reconnecting with some sort of light. Any moment your soul wakes up on this journey and goes, I'm doing something good. I have a dream, I have a gift, or I have something to share or something to help people with. Anytime you wake up and you're connected to something greater than yourself, then you're winning. And I think we can all win, at different times in our lives. And maybe there's struggles, but we can still get to a point where we're giving to society, or we're really enjoying life, where we have a lot of joy in our life. And we know that to the best of our ability, we're giving love to the world. I mean, I know we all get frustrated in traffic and technology and all kind of things. I'm not immune to it. I certainly have moments in life where I'm terribly frustrated, but shifting back into, okay, how do I enjoy this more? Or how do I remember that my energy affects other people, and how do I not affect them in negative ways? And I hope that on a quantum level and on this oneness level, that more and more people are waking up to our connectedness. Because if we realize that we're all connected and that we're all one, we wouldn't want anyone to suffer, that we would really make suffering in society the main focus. How do we ease suffering? How do we
Are we still here?
Yeah, give him just a second. He's having some bandwidth issues, so
Oh, all right. I
it's
wasn't sure.
buffering. Oh my gosh.
Well, I know the angels are with my mom. My mom went with the angels, and she's at peace. She's with my grandma and my papa.
Isn't it wild from even an atheist standpoint, basically, to go through that experience is like showing them proof. And they come out of it, believing in God, knowing. I mean, more than faith. Like they know
Right.
it in
She
their bones.
knows, she saw it. Like
Yeah.
she experienced it herself. Well, that should make a lot of us feel better, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
things, and if everybody has to go through it, it can't be all that bad, right? If everybody goes through it,
Yeah.
everyone goes there.
And we all, as we live our life and we try to imagine what comes next without having any kind of experience like that, it builds a hope. We hope that's what it's going to be like.
Right.
So when we hear people say it, that they've been there and came back, it is kind of reconfirming that what we hope to be is. Oh, that sounds so weird.
I think it is.
suffering and insurance, and people, who can't find people live a greater love on the other side that can help us live better.
And see, in the end, we all learn that. I mean, they all say it's about family. It's about love. It's not about what their career was. It wasn't about their accomplishments. What they thought about was their loved ones. their family.
That's correct,
Yeah.
Mouse. I hope everybody enjoyed that. My computer got heated up.
I figured. But it played long enough,
Yeah,
for us to get
get
the
right to the
understanding
end.
of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these were people who, or she talks at first of her story about her lack of belief in God, and it was an argument point. It was a burden in the family. You know what I mean? The conversation of it brought on fights and negative feelings.
Yeah, it did. It did in my family about when I brought that up. I mean, it's just the way people treated the idea of how dare you sit here and tell me your story and didn't believe. Well, not say they didn't believe it, but they didn't appreciate it. I guess.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's a good word. Appreciate.
Trying to tell you shit's real, and if you, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I would, but I didn't go as far as she did because I was negotiating the whole time. I loved women and food, and it sounds really stupid of me to say that after what I've been through.
No, I get it. I think a lot of times, in moments of crisis, I think it's natural to bargain. It's just human.
Yeah, because but I want to do another one here. I hope I ain't running everybody off. Put a one in chat if y'all are interested in this. If not, we'll move on. Mouse and Night Owl, y'all okay with that? But
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a man's perspective of it, and hopefully it's one where it explains what I went through perfectly. There's a lot of them are just like what I went through. We didn't go as far as this woman did, but you can see the stars in the light. I said that, but I was muted when she was talking about, she could see the pink and the light, and you knew that there was something towards that light. There is a light. There's no doubt about that. But when somebody said go to the light, it's true.
I told my mom to go to the light.
Hey, Megan.
She did.
Megan, my girl. I don't know what they're putting in chat. What do they got down there for us, Miles? No? Yes?
So far, Megan says, hey, lovelies.
Okay, Megan.
I think we put them all to sleep.
I think we did.
That lady did have a really relaxing voice.
I need to take a breath for a minute.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Okay.
What I'm going to do here, nice people.
It's weird. I've never noticed how often people use rivers in their soul searching stories, and I'm like, I can't do the river scenes right now. I really can't. Not with the sad stories. She got to that part where she said she was at the river and she could see souls floating on top of the river, and I had to step away for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm telling each and every one of y'all, it's a beautiful thing. I know I get on YouTube and act like a crazy nut and say stupid shit, but it's all true. It's there. It's there. Everybody's got to embrace it.
Megan just got home from her 30-year class reunion. That's wonderful,
Bless you, Megan. Bless you that you still do that.
I didn't do it. I didn't fucking do it.
I didn't either. I didn't go to any of them.
Yeah, I'm good.
Look at my school was hell. Why would I want to go remember that?
Oh, I don't either. If you're my friend in real life still, then I'll see you in real life.
Yeah, we'll do lunch. Like,
Where do the
All right,
flowers
all right. You're interrupting the live stream there, Christian Katie.
go?
She's
The
up.
trees. How
She's
high
up.
do the trees go?
She is back there listening to my live stream, folks. She got up an evangelist. I love this. Go ahead, rock on.
I
say
didn't get
that.
up no evangelist. This is what I believe. You don't seem to believe it.
I lived it.
You lived it, but are you following through with it?
Well, I'm doing the best I can while I'm in this earthly body. You know.
did you keep the bargains that you made, buddy?
What's that?
I said, do you today still keep the bargains that you made?
Somewhat. Somewhat. I ain't gonna lie. No, not. I do not. After all the shit I went through and seen and heard and experienced, I ain't. But that's part of being who we are as earthly beings. That's just part of it, and that's hard to explain too. It's just that I know that you get so much leeway being inside our earthly people bodies, but in the spiritual realm, it's totally different ballgame, buddy. Totally different.
Yeah, but remember now, I mean, you made a promise or promises. I don't know. I don't know what your bargains were, but you made those promises to the most important person.
Yeah, the person that controls and every day I got up thinking about that bargaining. Did I do well? Am I sticking to it? And then as life in the earthly state that we're in, that fades away because we're humans.
That choices are choices.
Well,
Life don't make us do nothing. Life is a product of our choices.
okay, well, whatever y'all want to call it. Whatever y'all want to say I'm doing wrong, but I mean,
Well, I think that
I didn't say you were doing anything wrong. I did not say.
we all sin, right? And
I was
Jesus loves the sinners the most.
I keep everything.
I mean, he doesn't love like Ted Bundy, but Jesus loves us in spite of our sins, or God, or whoever you believe. They love us anyway, even though we're
Well,
not
if that's
perfect.
back
They
a
know
lot,
we're not perfect.
I'm coming right back in, y'all.
We can always try, right? We can always try to be better than we were the day before.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And it's just about keeping centered that, I know people get wrapped up in their careers or their ambitions and their passions. But I think the stories are to remind us that in the final days, remember what does really matter most. And they talk about, the family that's around them.
Yeah, the love.
They don't talk about that trophy on the shelf. They don't talk about, their career and their successes. They're all on an even playing field, and it's just simple. It all goes back to their family and their, who's around them, who loves them, and who they love.
That's right.
As a reminder to be kinder to each other around us, because we are all that matters in the end. Be forgiving, you know what I mean? Be understanding, be kind, be patient with each other.
That's right, Megan. She doesn't want to be much, but a slightly better person than I was yesterday. That's all you can do, and love your family and your people, your loved ones, and Yeah, you know, life's short. Like I saw my friend. I haven't seen her in a long time. She came last night with her mom. Always nice to see her, you know.
Yeah.
And life is short. And I
Yeah.
did miss her. It was good to see. It was so good to see everybody. It just sucks you have to see everybody at something like that and not, you know, on a regular
Yeah.
day when everyone's feeling good. And
Yeah.
boy,
But remember, they showed up because they knew you would be happy to
yeah.
see them. And it was at a time you needed it most, so
It did make me feel better. It did. I thought I was gonna be like losing it yesterday, and I held it together, you know. And um,
good.
we're gonna be okay. And I gotta help my daddy.
Yeah. It's,
And
and that's the main thing, you're still standing. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to look different.
right,
But in fact, that's what life is adjusting every time it starts to look different.
it's you know, it's part of life, right? So
Yeah. And the best part, is just like the stories, you gave her that ending.
Chief Smoke a Lot says, before my dad passed, he suddenly said he looked forward to seeing his mom. She passed on 40 years before, and he wanted to see my other grandma, my mom's mom. He wanted to see purple mountains of the Andes. That's
Oh.
beautiful, Chief. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful.
And I think
Megan,
when we let go of people, when we lose people, it helps to leave it in our heart that it's not the final goodbye. That we will see them again.
we will. Megan said that it was a really important time what in her life was when her dad had a sudden illness and passing. And um you know, we it seems like the older we get, the more people we lose, and you learn how to
Yeah.
deal with it, I guess. I don't know, but I felt the day after my mom died, I woke up in the morning, my arms felt numb and
Mm.
tingly, and I felt like a string, like an energy string, came out of the top of my head and went up. And it's
Mm.
like a tether, like the charger cable on the phone,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it goes up to my mom,
Oh.
and I feel her. And I went in Walmart yesterday to get a pair of pantyhose, and I saw this little jogging suit. It's like an off white. It says "Love in Sports," and it's just a little, sweatpants and a hoodie. And I said, "Oh, that's really cute." And I went continuing on, got my pantyhose, and I was coming back out through the thing, and I saw the outfit, and I heard my mom's voice. I heard her say, "Oh, just get it," she said. So I did.
Oh.
So, that's the little things that you notice, the sign.
Right.
She's
Yeah.
already sending me signs. I went shopping with my aunt to get a dress, and we went to Macy's, and they were having a big sale. So my aunt's like, "Well, why don't you get both dresses? Because you need options, and you'll wear it." So I was like, "Okay." So then we go by the purses, going to get a pair of shoes. She goes, "Do you need a bag? You need a bag." there was this little blue Kate Spade purse that would have matched because I got a navy blue dress. And they're both navy blue, the dresses. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
I grabbed the bag. I didn't even look at the price of it. I go get the shoes. We find shoes. Now she goes to pay. The lady says at the register, you know this bag? She goes, it was $300. You got it for $65.
Aw.
And one of the dresses was $100 dress, and it was marked down to $14.
There you go.
And I think that was my mom. And that's the one I wore, the $14 one.
She
And,
loved it. She loved it.
She did. She always wanted me to look nice, and I put up pictures on the website at the funeral home, and they made like a video collage with all the pictures, and a lot of pictures I put was like when I was little and growing up with my mom, and
Yeah.
she always dressed me beautiful. She always did. So she would have been happy. And, I got a new, nice, pretty dress bag that for cheap.
Yeah.
It was like she put it there. It was like it was just there, and it matched. So, and I picked it up, and I didn't even look at the tag. And $65. I was like, wow, that's cool.
Wow.
It's like navy blue satin with a little bow on the front of it. Really cute handbag, like, and it did make the outfit. So I looked cute anyway. My mom would have been happy. And we brought little Dave, and he was a good boy. He sat the whole time with me, and he knew what happened. He's sad. He's mopey this morning.
Chief says, my dad was my best friend and business partner for 32 years. Without my dad, I feel lost in space.
Wow, Chief.
He said that was 6 years ago.
We're sending hugs. Megan said her dad passed 8 years ago, and it still hurts like F. See, you guys understand. You guys understand. Oh, boy. Now I gotta cook. I gotta cook stuff. I mean, not right this minute, but I mean.
You know, we Southerners have quick tricks for that, and it's like do chicken. Just fry the chicken,
Yeah.
boil the potatoes, throw some vegetables on, and call it a meal. You know.
Yeah, my mom was the best at the half-hour dinner, or throw the thing in the oven and it's done in an hour. My mom, she was like the quickest cook. Yeah, she could friggin' whip up a dinner and have the whole kitchen clean before the dinner's even done cooking. Like I'll never be that good.
Well, I mean, I miss that. I was from a large family, and when things like that happen, the men were outside working on something that needed repaired at the person's house. Cars, pipes, electrical, whatever. They were making the house better, and the women were inside cooking and cleaning.
Yep.
And as a big team, and I miss those days. I miss those days of watching the teamwork and
having everybody over.
Oh yeah,
everybody helping out, and we used to do that too. Everybody brings something, and
as an older cousin, it was our job to keep the younger cousins, basically out of the way and entertain.
Yeah. Go out on the porch. Get out from under my feet, kids. Get out of the kitchen. Go outside.
Yeah, but it was our job to keep them out of the adults' hair, and not lose any of them.
Right? Yeah, you can't lose the kids.
There was a mess of us grandkids. I mean, The cousin clan was pretty thick. And I think we spread it out over a good 15, 20 years.
Yeah. And you think of all the food, like the food my auntie, my grandma, my
Oh,
mom,
no, I miss
all
their
the stuff
cooking.
they
Oh,
yeah. Megan went to get some sleep, she said.
good night, Megan. Get some rest, honey.
So, yeah, you know, it is what it is. But they'll get through it.
Yeah. Just like, seems like just everything from everybody. Gosh, this time of this season has just been rough.
Yeah. I was reading something. They say more people die in October than any other month.
Mm.
Died the last day of September, but or the 29th.
You know, he just got ahead of the rush.
You know, a
He's
lot
like,
of people
traffic's
get
gonna be thick. I'm getting out early.
winter is coming. It's gonna be too fucking cold, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people get married in October too. That was one of the busiest months at the salon with the weddings is in October. They like around here anyway, they like the fall with the different leaves, and they make a pretty wedding in the
They
fall.
do. I did one. I did a fall wedding last year. Oh, and it was beautiful. We did a mixture of teal flowers in with the orange autumn colors.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I bet. That does sound pretty. I love contrasting colors like that. Or you know how they do the white pumpkins now
Hmm.
with the teal? That looks pretty
Yeah,
too.
we did some of those. We did some, we did all we had white, orange, and teal, and then, blended with, the darker browns and stuff. Oh, it's really beautiful.
Oh, that sounds so pretty. That was your daughter's wedding?
Yep.
Oh, so nice. Oh, Meg missed her dad's smashed potatoes. I saw a recipe for those. You boil those, you know, the little potatoes, the little
Uh-huh.
tiny ones, and you boil them, and
Uh-huh.
then you put them in the baking pan, and you take a glass and just smash them with the top of the, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you bake them in the oven, and they get crispy.
That sounds good.
Yeah, they look really good. And they come crispy, like a homemade tater tot almost.
I'm craving enchiladas. I don't know why. The fall season is when I just really crave Mexican food.
We have this place, California Taco Shop,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been, it's like, it must be a franchise because they're popping up here and there. We have like 3 or 4 of them, and there's one near my house, and they have really good stuff. They have the enchiladas, and they have the chimichanga. That's like a fried burrito, like a deep fried crispy burrito. And then they have this one, I got it, it's steak burrito with
Ooh.
French fries in it. So
Ooh.
good.
That does sound good.
Now you're making me want tacos too. I want the taco shop. They have the fajitas. You can get the fajitas. I like
I was
those.
down in New Mexico. Oh gosh, it was probably back around 2009, 2010. And they had goat taco trucks everywhere.
Oh,
I'm like, nope, not trying that. Mm-mm. Hey, buddy.
Hey, baby, how you doing?
Good, good.
Welcome
I'm
back.
on my way to the store.
Okay.
Of course you are.
Hey, watch your mouth. That ain't very spiritual like.
Have you been listening to us talk about food?
No. Actually, I've been trying to fucking find something.
Well, we want burritos and enchiladas. See
Stuff
what
will
you
kill
can
you.
do, buddy.
Stuff will kill you. Hold on just a minute, folks. Hold on just a minute. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
All right.
I
We'll
promise.
be here.
Oh.
Pick me up a pack of Newport Lights, buddy. Too. Send them right through the screen, so I don't have to put pants on.
Let's see. I had an elf in my StreamYard.
I love your mini costume.
You like that?
Yeah.
I went shopping. I decided it was time for some new clothes.
It's cute. Dave just raised his head up above the covers. Hello, sir. Go get your papa. Go wake him up. Go love bomb papa. He's sleeping late for him, but he needs it. It's so quiet in the house, even though like my mom wasn't a noisy person, but it's quiet her not being here. Like I told my dad, because she always has the CNN on in the kitchen, and my dad will be like, Jesus Christ, that asshole Wolf Blitzer, right? He can't stand him. my mom's the Democrat, my dad's the Republican, so there was some interesting stories once in a while, you know. Usually my dad didn't bring it up. It would be my mom. She'd be like, that Trump, you know what that asshole did? And you know, and then it would escalate a little bit, and then my dad would say something about the CNN, and I'd say, Dad, she's just trying to brainwash us. It's like subliminal, keeping the CNN on in the kitchen. So he said the other day, it's so quiet. I said, maybe we should put the CNN on in the kitchen.
That's the way it's going to be with my dad. We're going to put on Fox News just because it's going to be weird not having it on.
Yeah, right.
And he does. He watches it all day. Like that is all day background. And so it's, it's news articles on repeat.
Yeah.
And each time he comes on, he screams at it again.
Yeah, and it's the same thing every hour.
I'm like, you know how that blood pressure medication you're on? It would probably go down if you just turn off Fox.
Yeah, right. Well, they say like if the news makes you anxious, just don't watch it. You know, like the local news. I don't watch my local news. I don't like hearing about all the bad news. I read it. I got that app Newsbreak, and you can get like your local news. It goes by your zip code, and you get your local news, your world news, the national news, the gossip and entertainment, the Diddy.
Well, like I will watch my local news.
Yeah.
Because it is still very informative.
Yeah.
But the national news, I'll go look it up myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear y'all's opinion of it. I just want to know the facts.
Right. Yeah, that when did the news become like, I mean, when we were kids growing up, seeing the guys on the news every night, Tom Brokaw, although he was a flaming liberal, but still, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, the
Yeah.
newscaster, the real news people, you didn't know what their political affiliation was. You maybe could guess it, but they were putting the news out there. They were putting the facts. They weren't putting
They
their
didn't feel, I
opinion.
mean, they would present the news, sometimes in their own narrative, yes, because reporters have always done that, like I said, since Eisenhower. But they didn't stand around for another hour, discuss their opinion on it, bring in some off the wall specialist nobody's heard of, talk about it another hour. Like, they just left the facts and got off.
Yeah, right. They presented the facts and wasn't trying to put their opinion off as
Now
fact.
it feels like a 2 hour talk show.
Yeah. Yeah. They pass opinions off as fact on both sides. They do it.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, now they're allowed to bring up some expert in the situation that nobody's heard of, or that is, biased or liberal
Yeah.
to give their narrative. And it's like, nah, we don't even know this guy. Why why do we have to learn from him? I don't know him. I don't trust him.
I'm making the coffee. There's flowers all over the place. I had the people take the flowers home. There was so many.
Yeah.
And then I told the funeral home, whatever they don't take, send them to the church.
We have a place here that is a bunch of older women who love flowers. And what they do is, from funerals and weddings and things like that, they take in the flowers that are no longer wanted and they rearrange them and take them to the women in the senior citizen homes.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice.
And it's because, I mean, it's like a social thing between the women that can still do things and the women that can't. And it's a big social circle. They've made, friends with each other and they hang out and put flowers together. And
That sounds really nice.
I wish I could remember the name of it because my brain is blank.
Well, they'll take them to the church and decorate the altar. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
There's a big cross. It's just so many. Like, what do you do with funeral flowers?
Well, some of them you take out to the cemetery,
Well, my mama is in my hut.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. So yeah, what do you do with those? Now I see your point.
I got a it's like looks like a jewelry box, and it's stained glass, blue glass, and turquoise.
But the stand flowers, what do you?
Yeah, right. That was why.
Yeah.
My cousin took a. She's like, "Can I have that big one?" I'm like, "Go ahead, honey, have at it." She had her husband dragging it out, and then I said to my friend Rod, I said, "Take that big one home to your mom. Put it on,
Yeah.
He's like, "I will." Really? I said, "Yeah." Here he is dragging out this big flower thing. I felt so bad. Like, I didn't, these people bought flowers. And so we didn't do that in lieu of flowers thing. They didn't ask.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking. My mom deserved flowers, so I figured, hey, it was so beautiful when we walked in. They did a really good job. I know they always say that, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't do the whole wake. with the laying out of the dead body and all that. She didn't want that anyway.
Right.
Like everything was already. Oh, you're coming up, Dory. Dory wants to come up, I think.
Dory's backstage, buddy, if you could let her up.
What do you have? No, you can't have that. Dave. Here we go. Here we go. The menace has awoken.
Give him just a minute, Dory. I think he's at the store. He must have left us in the car. How mean of him. He left us in the car.
I gotta get Dave a treat. Hold on, Mom.
Now, little Dave, you know you have to work for treats. You don't just get those with the sad face. That's not fair to Mom.
All right. He's got his treats. So he doesn't start picking up random shit. Got it. He stayed right with me all night, right? And then my cousin tried to bring him outside to take him for a walk. He would not go with her. No way. He wanted me. That was it. But he was a really good boy. Everybody loved him. He was in the obituary too.
Oh, that's
yeah,
sweet.
he was in the obituary. Oh, Kiki's going to tend to them grandbabies. Have a good day, Miss Kiki.
I'll give them all hugs and kisses for us. Goodness.
How's your
Grandbabies
baby? How's your baby, Mouse?
She's doing wonderful.
She must be growing.
She is, and learning, and this is little mama's first one, so she's enjoying it. All the new things every day,
Yeah.
I get the updates.
And the more, like, the older they get, the more they start doing every day. They start laughing, and they really get their own little personality.
Yep. Well, she definitely has a personality. She's gonna be tiny, I know that,
Like you.
I hope so.
Oh, how cute. She's gonna be so cute with all her little clothes and the hair bows. You gotta have hair bows.
Oh yeah.
I know down south those hair bows are big. That's a big thing down south.
I remember that phase. I think maybe I hope we've gone through that phase, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the funnest part has been.
Hold on. I gotta get my card. Hold on.
Okay. Has been watching my child fall in love with her own child. It's just an amazing thing. It's miraculous. It's crazy.
That's wonderful, Mouse. I'm happy for you.
Because how many times do we tell our kids, one of these days you're going to have kids and you're going to understand why I said no.
Yep. And you're going to have kids and they're going to be just like you.
Yeah. Hey, Izzy.
Good morning, Izzy. We'd say to come up, but Buddy might not be available to let you up, but we're waiting for Dory. Dory
He's
still
getting his
back there?
coffee. Yeah, I hope so.
I don't see who's back there because I'm on my iPad. It doesn't show it. I'm on the new StreamYard app. It doesn't work with I had to make a whole new StreamYard thing. Like I got
You have
two.
to be on the team before you can see who's backstage.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, all you can see is yourself.
So how's everybody this weekend? Any plans? I'm gonna relax and I gotta go food shopping because we don't have anything to drink except water and some cranberry juice and a little Snapple iced tea. But I need variety.
Yeah.
I like the little waters. They're like not as big as the big water. I like the little bottles of water. They're easier to drag in the house and they all fit nice in my little fridge behind the bar and
I'm so sick
stock
of
it up.
driving water.
And then the big ones, I waste the water. I end up with like a half full water bottle. You there, buddy?
Right back. I gotta go fix something. I'll be right back.
Oh, Izzy. Maybe you're my cousin, my long lost cousin, Izzy. Where'd Mouse go? Oh man. Now I'm all alone up here. You there, buddy? You sound all staticky. Like eh, eh, eh. That's what you sound like. Hey cuz. Izzy cuz. Cuz. Izzy cuz. They left me. They left me all alone. The coffee's hot and I got peppermint mocha today. Buddy, you better come back. And Mouse, too. Mouse will be back. Okay. That'll be good. Or whoever else wants to come up. We're just waiting for Buddy to let the people up. Buddy, we can't hear you. You're like, Alrighty then. So, how about if we check and see what's in the news this morning? Let's see. All I see is war. Are you there, buddy? Buddy, maybe go out and come back in. Because we can't hear shit. What about that P. Diddy, huh? It just gets sicker and sicker. And I was watching something last night and I was talking to my friend about it and she was watching it on that channel, Tisa Tells. TISA, tells, and has a really good YouTube channel. And she gets into it, and we both said like it makes you you feel like you need to take a shower after you hear all the horrible things that man did. Buddy, go out and come back in because we can't hear you at all. At all. Not at all. It's not good, buddy. Well, let's see. Oh, as Trump returns to the assassination attempt site, Secret Service is at a quote breaking point, official says. And Elon Musk is gonna go there to the new rally. Yes, buddy. Buddy, now it sounds like you're tapping on your microphone.
What?
Are you there?
I'm always here.
Well, we couldn't
Sometimes.
hear you. We couldn't hear you at all.
Um,
And everyone dropped off, and people wanted to come up, and you didn't let them up. The mouse
Well,
fell
hold on a
off.
fucking minute. Well, I'm sorry they feel like that, but I mean, I got shit I got to take care of here and the now. You know what I mean?
Well, do you want to end the live?
Yeah, I'll start one back up
All right.
when I get this shit under control. So,
Get your stuff done, and then come back.
yeah, that's thank you, Nida.
That'll be good. Thank you,
And thank
everybody.
y'all, guys. Thank y'all for the support. Nida, we're with you on your journey here, baby.
Thank you so much, buddy. We love you.
Love you too.
All right. See you later.
All right, folks.